Hey everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Mamas Uncut book club, where we are discussing The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. And in the last 3 videos, we discussed chapters 1 up to 7. And in these last 2 videos, I'm going to take 7 through 20 and kind of dissect them in these 2 videos. I know it seems like a lot, but ooh, does 7 start out juicy? And a lot just starts happening from there. And like I said, this is a book club that is not meant to give out spoilers, because I want you to buy the book, which you can do by clicking the link in the description, and read it for yourself. Then come back, watch these videos, and have a discussion with me. And so I do not want to potentially give out any spoilers. So I'm just going to kind of highlight the things that happened in the last 13 chapters, and then kind of see what you guys think in the comment section below. So like I said, things start getting juicy in 7, and I start to think that I'm going to get the ending that I want, but like I said, this is only chapter 7 in a book that has 20 chapters. So a lot is going to happen and change, and that's exactly kind of what unfolds. Also, early in chapter 7, we get another main character, another friend of Amy Byler's, Talia, and she is one of my favorites so far, and I think she's just going to bring even more fun to this already. And even though Amy is kind of off doing her own thing while her children are with their father, we still see her reluctant to really enjoy this time that she has, this very rare time. But despite the reluctancy Amy is kind of putting on herself, we start to see through the journal entries that Corey writes in this book, that her children are starting to really see how fun she is. Her current trip is being documented, and she has her best friend Lena, who's back in Pennsylvania still with the kids, and they're seeing kind of what their mom is doing, and they're kind of shocked to see this different person, because like I've mentioned so many times before, when everything happened to Amy that happened, she put this wall up, and she has meant business for the last 3 years and rarely let herself time to let her hair down. And now, even though she's reluctant, she is doing it a little bit because her friends are, kind of forcing her to do this. And you really just start to see the kids see that, oh, mom isn't always like this, and she hasn't always been like this. And one thing I just want to point out there, if you are a mom and you're reading this book, I know it's fiction, but I think moms can be inspired by this. And once we get to the end of the book, I think you start to realize that might be why Kelly wrote this book. And she just really wants moms to look at Amy Byler and say, being a mom does not mean zero fun all the time. Also, being a mom does not mean you just have to be zero fun. You can still be a good parent while letting your hair down, even around your kids. And so I think that's important to point out. And I just truly love the way Kelly writes. It's so vivid that when you're reading this book, I don't know about anybody else, but I am almost like I'm looking over the top of the book and picturing everything happening in front of me. And I can see it all fold out as I'm reading these words. And to me, because I'm such a visual person, is so important. And I hope you guys are getting that from the book as well. Like the descriptions, all the just very small details are things that I pick up on, and things that help me really understand and follow what's going on. And I just really love that. And then we get a fun scene that gives me like a Miss Congeniality, she's all that kind of vibe. Chapter 8 is just one of the most fun chapters I think that we get in the book so far. And I want to know if you guys like immediately thought of those two movies when reading that scene in chapter 8. And then I think what's really cool is we start seeing a more serious side of Amy's daughter through her journal entries. And we kind of start to see how similar Amy and Corey are. And it's almost like we start to notice that, like Amy, who maybe didn't let herself grieve her marriage as much as she should have, and now she's kind of having to do it all at once, that Corey might have been the same way. And I think it's so real how Kelly kind of portrays Amy now being kind of without kids and being able to process things she should have processed 3 years ago, and kind of the back and forth that happens. It truly kind of never stops until a very specific part of the book. And in chapter 8, chapter 9, we see Amy kind of unravel again, for lack of a better word. But I think it's also good because she's letting out some of this long overdue feelings that really are just going to keep hindering her from, living her best life. And again, with these cliffhangers at the end of each chapter, specifically chapter 9, it's such a big one. You're like, okay, what is Amy going to do? And then at that point, it was just flip, 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 and I could not stop reading until the very end. And then I'm going to end this video by talking about chapter 10, which the best way I can describe chapter 10 is that Kelly makes this book so unbearable to read that it's fantastic. It was one of the chapters, probably the chapter in the book that I'm just like, I need to get through this chapter, because it's the way, again, that Kelly writes, that I am absolutely feeling everything that Amy is going through. But on top of that, I'm also seeing the bigger picture, because obviously I'm the reader and I'm not going through it real time with Kelly. And I know what I know I want to have happen. And it's just like, Amy girl, get it together. All right, everyone. So that is chapter 7 through 10. In the next video that you're going to get very soon, we are going to talk about 11 through 20, which will end this amazing book of The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. And I hope you're sticking with us, and I hope you're reading, and I hope you're loving it, because I am so loving this book. Bye, guys.